So welcome back to the Sawmill, friends. It is a late start for me today. I have been in the house for the past 6 hours. Actually longer than that. What is it? It's already 4 o'clock. I've been in there for the past 8 hours working on a video that I tried to upload this morning, and the audio was not working on the very end of it. I don't know what the problem is. I had to re-edit it twice, had to render it twice, and it still didn't work, so I had to go back and redo the entire video before I could finally get the audio to sync with it. I tell you, some days like this, guys, it's aggravating, and it makes making these videos on YouTube not so fun. But before we get started today, and I don't have a lot of time to do a lot of stuff because of that, let me show you guys what I did yesterday up here at the Sawmill. I cut some cookies. Go check it out, and I'll see you in just a minute. All right, friends, what we're looking at here is a log that came out of my neighbor's pole barn. And based on the outside, I had no idea what species it was until we cut it in two. And now I know what it is. That's white oak right there. I can tell by the color and also the medullary rays shooting out from the pith on the radial plane. It's pretty solid, not too bad. There is some rot on the edges, and that's expected. Who knows how old this log is? That barn was probably standing down there for well over 100 years. We're gonna do something with this though, friends, I'm not done in probably 10 years. And like I was saying, friends, this log came out of a pole barn on my neighbor's property about almost 2 years ago. I guess it will be 2 years ago this coming January. That barn got knocked down in a bad storm that we had. And if you guys remember, that same storm took the roof off our chicken house. So it's been down for quite some time. And it was an old pole barn, and it had like a log cabin style crib in the middle, but no chinking. I'm not sure what it was used for back in the day, maybe tobacco, I'm not sure. But the barn or the property originally belonged to my neighbor's wife, and her dad worked out of that barn for years. So there's a lot of sentimental value and stuff like this, since her dad did work in that barn for all those years. He ran a body shop out of it, actually. I don't think he cut tobacco, but I could be wrong, I'm not sure. But he had a body shop that was built inside of the barn later on. That barn had a lot of different uses. Livestock, probably tobacco, then an auto body shop at the very end of its life. So they salvaged this out of the barn. They had it taken down once the storm got it, and they saved one log. And I told them I would saw some cookies out of it. Now you guys know what cookies are. I guess if you go to weddings and stuff like that, they're kind of like an oversized coaster. They're really popular. I don't like sawing them because I don't have the correct jig to saw cookies. There's a thing called a Wood-Mizer, I believe, that Wood-Mizer makes. It sits on the mill bed, has a clamp, and you can put logs in it and stand them up vertically and saw your cookies that way. It makes it a lot safer. I don't have that jig, and I don't like sawing cookies, to be honest with you. The last time I done it was about 10 years ago for a wedding, and it was a pain just to get them on here and get them clamped up. So what did you guys think about those cookies right there? They turned out decent. I forgot to do any video footage showing the finished product. They had some checks, but those logs were probably 100 years old. So not too bad, at least they didn't fall apart. I actually have another section of log, and I think, or section of that log rather, it sounds a lot better. I have another section of that log that we'll put on the mill here in a few days and cut her some more, but not too bad. I thought they turned out pretty decent. So today, friends, or the limited amount of time that I have for the rest of the day, we're gonna saw up something here, or try to saw something up that I haven't sawed in probably 10 years, and I've never done it on this channel. All right, guys, so right here is the species we're gonna be sawing today, and a lot of you guys know what you're looking at already, I'm sure. Black locust. This is a fence post behind the sawmill. I talked to my neighbor, and he said this fence is at least 60 years old. Maybe older, and as you can see, it's still standing. It's in pretty poor shape though. It's rotted down a little, but 60 years and it's still standing. That's pretty good. A pressure treated post wouldn't last that long. There's no way. Maybe 20 years if you're lucky, maybe 25, I don't know. But that's black locust, guys. It's extremely rot resistant, and I have about 3 or 4 black locust logs that I got in just the other day. Now, locust is native to Northeast Tennessee. There's also honey locust. It doesn't have the rot resistance that black locust has. But to be honest with you guys, it doesn't grow the best around here. Now, over in Boone, North Carolina, there's a few sawmills over there. They saw a lot of black locust, and for some reason over there, the locust grows a lot better. The locust over here has a lot of rot in it, which is kind of counterintuitive if you think about it. It's an extremely rot-resistant tree, but the trees rot when they're standing. But if you can get to them before they rot and saw them into boards, or like I'm going to try today, a fence post, a 4x4, they say it will last 50 to 100 years. At least that's what they say. Some of you gun guys out there and the people that live in a big city, pressure treated wood hasn't always been around. And back in the day, black locust was the go-to for your fence post, and also red cedar. But what I've been told by the old timers around here, black locust was their first preference for a post, and cedar was number 2. And they actually used white oak, but they preferred to use white oak for their lumber because it was a little bit more valuable. So the black locust was a great use for that. And it also makes me want to think as well about black locust when I talked earlier about it rotting so bad. Apparently maybe 50 years ago, it grew a lot better than it does now. And maybe there might be a forester down in the comments that can let us know of any changes that's happened in locust over the past 50 to 60 years. Because if you go to these farms around here, and I'm surrounded by nothing but farms where I live, and old fence lines, every single one of them has locust posts in those fence lines. And they're still being used today to keep in cattle, to separate land, you know, cattle farms and all that stuff, and they're still standing, they're still being used. It's really amazing to think that those posts are that old and they're still nice and solid. Now, the example I showed you guys up here was rotted at the top, but I got several in this fence row behind me that's grown up. It's a mess. That's something else I need to do sometime this winter, is redo this entire fence line. But anyways, there's several in this fence line that are still solid and would still work today for fence posts. Well, the next time you're out on a Sunday drive in the country, start paying attention to the fence lines, and I bet you will see some locust fence posts still standing. There's actually decent barbed wire still attached to that one. I could actually, if I wanted to, clean up this fence line, put some more barbed wire on the other side of my field, which doesn't have a fence right now, and this would be sufficient to keep in cattle, which shows you 50 years later, it's still working. And also, if you haven't noticed, I got in some really nice black walnut logs the other day. Got 3 decent ones on top and some really nice ones right there on the bottom. I unloaded these the other day and I forgot to video it. Sorry about that, but we will have these on the sawmill probably next week. Now, if you head out there and try to find some locust trees for fence posts, bear in mind that honey locust that has those giant thorns on it is not rot resistant. Only black locust is. So make sure you got the right locust tree before you start cutting them down and putting them in the ground, because you'll be very disappointed because honey locusts will rot pretty fast. Now, these locust logs I'm talking about, guys, are not in great condition. The end of them are showing signs of rot. One of them looks decent on the end, but I'm very hopeful today that maybe we can open these locusts up and get a solid, maybe 6 foot 4x4 out of them. I think they're 8 footers, but there is rod on both the ends, so I'm not sure what we're gonna get out of these. But at least you guys will be educated on black locusts, and maybe there will be at least 1 or 2 boards in the logs if we don't get a 4x4. But a 4x4 is my goal. They're too small for a 6x6, but if I can get a solid 4x4 black locust post, at least 6 foot long, it's gonna be a win. Might as well go ahead and grab these slabs as well, since we're headed that way, and take them down to the burn pile. This is mostly cedar and pine. Nothing valuable in here, guys. So that right there, friends, is black locust. That's a decent sized one, but it does have a lot of issues. Got a little cavity right there, and it does have a twist to it. A decent sized hole right there. You know, you don't know what you're gonna get with something like this. I'm guessing 50 years ago, they grew a lot better. Down here on this side, got the same thing, rot right there in the middle. And these over here, friends, aren't much better. Right there is another one, and that one actually is kind of solid right there in the middle, but it's short. It's about a 6 footer. Right here beside it, needs a little trim work done right there on that side, but it doesn't look too bad. It's nice and straight. And over here's the last one. So we got 4 total. And this one's not too great either. I'm thinking out of these 4, our best candidate for a saw log today, or a 4x4 rather, is that one right there. So we'll discard the one in the loader, and I'll dig this one out and we'll take it up to the mill. And also, even though this one right here is a disaster, black locust makes very, very good firewood. It burns really hot, and people say, I've never experienced this before, that you can see sparks come off your chainsaw. We'll find out though, because I have a lot of firewood to cut here in about a week or 2, and this will make really good firewood, hopefully. friends, this log may be a complete waste of time, but at least today on this video, you got to learn about black locust. I didn't see this there in the log yard, but check out that hole right there. Pretty sure it's hollow. I'll be surprised if we have any solid lumber at all in this log. Another hole right there. But that does give you a good idea as well, guys, on the bark structure of black locust. Once you learn what black locust looks like, you'll never forget it, guys. It's got a very unique characteristic there with the way the bark is structured. All right, friends, like I was saying earlier, we're going to try to get a 4x4 out of this log. We'll be lucky to get a 1x1, to be honest with you. On the Sawmill, Maine Silvertip Turbo 7, that's a dull blade. I left it on there on purpose because black locust logs, or black locust trees, do grow in fence lines as well as being used for fence posts. Therefore, there's a good chance when you do saw into one, you may hit some metal. So we got an old blade on there in case that happens. And it'll be interesting to see if we see any sparks fly off the log like you guys talked about. I didn't see it in the chainsaw a minute ago and I cut that end off, but you never know. So let's open this one up, friends, and see if it's a waste of time or not. All right, friends, a complete failure on this log today. I'm not going any further. There's ants coming out everywhere. Those holes right there go all the way through. This log, or this cant rather, is completely hollow in the middle, all the way down. You can see that hole right there. You can see completely to the other side. But we did accomplish two things today. Number one, we educated you guys about locust and the benefits of it when you have a nice log. And the second thing is, guys, you're going to get to see the locust and the grain color because this top of the cant right here actually looks pretty good. The only bad thing is about 1/4 of an inch below it is hollow, so it's pretty much useless. But it does give you a good look at the color of locust. It reminds me of butternut just a little. Looks really nice right there. I like the color of it. Hopefully in the future, we might be able to find a locust log worth sawing. Because once you get down through here, there's a lot of the insect damage right there. There's ants crawling all over this thing. This will go straight to the burn pile more than likely. This is not good enough for firewood. But like I was saying, guys, it does give you a good look at the color of locust. I think it looks pretty nice. All right, guys, so at least we did learn about locust today, and you guys got to see the grain color. Now, having said all that, I'm gonna throw this out there and see if anybody bites on it. I'm in Northeast Tennessee. I'm about an hour from Asheville, North Carolina, an hour and a half from Knoxville, and I'm really close to Johnson City. Now, anybody watching this video in my vicinity or with an hour or so drive that has a locust tree that they want rid of, or a locust log rather, and it's solid, you know, it's not gonna be like we had today here on the mill. It's nice and solid and a good saw log, and you'd like to donate it to the channel, I'll come either cut the tree down or I'll come get the log and bring it here so we can do another video and show you guys what a proper locust log looks like when you saw it up. Now, if the tree is in a fence line, I don't want it. If it's leaning toward a house or a power lines, I don't want it. The only way I'll cut a tree down that somebody gives me, it's got to be clear of any obstacles and any structures. I don't have that real expensive insurance that tree guys have on the liability side because I'm not an arborist. So therefore, I don't touch trees that are near dangerous situations like that. But if you have something in the middle of a field, or maybe you're a sawmill and you're close to me and you have a locust log on hand and it's nice and solid, and if that's the case, I'll probably buy it from you. So if you do have one out there and you live within an hour or two from me, my email is down in the video description. I'm tongue twisted. My email is in the video description, outofthewoodsforestry@gmail.com. Send me an email, put locust in the subject, and I'll get back with you, and maybe we could show a nice proper locust log on this mill, because the loggers around here, they don't harvest this stuff. They pass it up in the forest or they drive over it in the skidders and it's gone. So it's really hard to find. Really hard to find. So anyways, thanks for watching, friends. Sorry about the shorter video today. I wish I was out here sawing all day instead of stuck in front of that computer, but that's the way it is. So once again, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you back here in a few days.